Howdy, Possum Patty here, and I'm nature journaling. It's April 3rd, and we have April showers and March winds today. It's drizzling all day today. When I woke up this morning and I looked out the window, I saw a red-bellied woodpecker at the bird feeder. When I went out to refill the bird feeder, I saw 2 gray squirrels running around the bird feeders and up the tree. The one squirrel ran up the tree and started flicking its tail very quickly. I think that means warning, warning, or something suspicious is about to happen. Today's page is a continuation from yesterday. I'm still looking at sprouts and sporophytes. I went outside and I collected some more samples of the moss and the Canada Mayflower shoots. I looked at the moss under the zoomy microscope. And these are the features that I saw. It had a flattish, opaque leaf. It was pointy at the tip and had little teeth all the way down the side. At the base, you can see the midrib. This is the part that attaches to the stem. Looking at these features and using my common mosses of the Northeast and Appalachians, I determined that this was a common hair-cap moss, or Polytrichum. The other thing I was looking at was the Canada Mayflower. And I was surprised to see that under the zoomy microscope, it had parallel veins. And plants that have parallel veins are monocots. So I had a moss and a monocot. Another thing that I was looking at was pioneer rock and thinking about the process of succession. I'm going to call this rock pioneer rock because there's a little micro habitat forming on it. You can see the moss and you can see some lichen. Looks like this lichen's growing on the moss over here too. We have some moss growing on the rock, and maybe some moss growing on the lichen, and some lichen growing on the moss. Sometimes lichens are the first living things to go to bare soil or bare rock. They start to break down the minerals, form a little habitat. Mosses can live on the rock because they get their nutrients and moisture, everything from the air. And then once the moss moves in, it starts collecting debris, or maybe there was some debris already on the rock when it started growing there. And it's collecting more, and it holds some moisture, and it's forming a habitat now that these little Canada Mayflowers are starting to grow. Now my pioneer rock was an example of primary succession. You start with a blank slate, like a bare rock. Some lichens might start growing on the rock. The lichens have the ability to break down the minerals in the rock and use them, and they collect the moisture from the air. Then some moss may start growing on the rock, and the moss also get their moisture and nutrients from the air. But after a while, you've got quite a bit of moss and lichen on the rock, and they start to form a new microhabitat because they're collecting debris and retaining moisture. So now other plants can grow there. So on pioneer rock, we now have Canada Mayflowers growing. And this is the steps of primary succession. I don't know what will happen from here, but more things might start growing on the rock. If you go to Hawaii, the big island,
and you go walking out on the lava flows, you can see another example of primary succession. In the oldest lava flows, where there's cracks and crevices, dust and dirt have blown in and got collected, and some moisture has also collected in there, and this provides little habitats for plants to grow, like ferns. But you don't need to go to an exotic location like Hawaii to see this. I saw this in Hawaii, but I also saw it on a rock in my backyard. And speaking of ferns,
oh look, here's some tiny, tiny, tiny fiddleheads just coming up out of the ground.
when I went out to make my collections of moss and monocots, I found some little tiny fiddleheads just peeking up at the base of the tree out next to Pioneer Rock. I don't know what species these are going to be, but I can go out later and check on them.
Take these inside and look at them with the zoomie.
Maybe I'll have to make a map of the plants growing around Pioneer Rock, like I did with the plants over by Sparkly Rock. Thanks for coming along today. Bye-bye.